Welcome Lund loyalists to John Lund Unleashed. Those watching on YouTube, on the John Lund Unleashed and Bay Area Sports Collective channels. Viewers on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and Lundos listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. John Lund Unleashed, brought to you by 𝐟𝐸𝐵 Sports Medicine. Got pain? Check out our revolutionary stem cell treatments. And guys, if low T is bringing you down, 𝐟𝐸𝐵 Sports Medicine can put you back in the game. Now all juiced up and ready to go, here's Johnny.
There it is, episode 130, and we got to talk about thumbs today, specifically Steph's thumb and targeting thumbs and targeting injuries, and it's 3-2 at the end of the day. Regardless of what the thumb is, nobody's going to get you time off. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you, and the bottom line to the whole thing is Steph's thumb, injury or not, Spurs got blown out. They got their ass kicked. Sometimes you got to give credit to the other team. We did a post game last night, and we talked all about it on John Lund Unleashed. And welcome. Thanks for joining us. A lot of talk about the Warriors, a lot of video from post game, a lot of talk about targeting and injury. That's what you do. We'll get into that conversation. You're trying to win. It's professional sports. I'm sorry. Did I hurt your thumb? John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. John Lund Unleashed Bay Area Sports Collective. Tom Tolbert and I are going to get together at some point, so keep those alerts on early in the afternoon to get his thoughts. He was, of course, in Houston, so we'll do that. If you're watching on X, at John Lund Radio, at John Lund Radio on Instagram as well. Thank you so much for making the time for us. If you'd come on over to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, that would be tremendous. Please subscribe. Please get those alerts on. Please hit us with the like right now so that the algorithm will like us and go, oh, okay, he's not half bad. Facebook, LinkedIn, any of those places, Twitch, you can watch us anywhere on all those platforms, but we'd love it if you come over and join the community on YouTube, John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, Bay Area Sports Collective, so you can get all those shows, my show, Tom Tolbert's show, Rod Brooks, Holly Mack, Creative Tony, everybody on Bay Area Sports Collective, and we'll be adding more soon, but as I told you, they don't tell me those things anymore, so let's get to it. Episode 130, it is now a series 3-2. We'll talk about it, but it was really over. First quarter was really over. First 5 minutes, it was really over. 76-49 at the half, 40-24 in the first quarter. Steph's thumb talk, we'll get more into that. Fred VanVleet was great when they're getting that second helper, and they actually got their entire starting lineup basically as helpers last night. It was such a blowout. As I said, it's a series. Timberwolves will be an issue if they can win Game 6. Size last night was major, as Rudy Gobert was great. As usually in the playoffs, you got to bench him because you do all the high screens and then he doesn't come back and drop coverage and get easy threes and all those kind of things. So Rudy Gobert, a lot of times, even though a lot of people vote him Defensive Player of the Year, and they did last year, not this year, but in the playoffs, they find a way. But last night, he was tremendous. 27 points, 24 boards, 9 offensive rebounds, which led to 20 Minnesota points, and LeBron and the Lakers and Luka are out of the playoffs again. I think LeBron's played his last game as a Laker. We'll talk about that and explain. Giants lose a 2-gamer. I hate to say sweep because it's 2 games. Whatever, I guess it is because it's just 2 games. They come back, and the great elixir is the Colorado Rockies. That's who they play next. But it's time for Mr. Birdsong to be in the rotation. There are no more excuses. Let's go. Quit screwing around. You got April. That was great. We'll look back at April ahead to May, but it's 1 month in, and the Giants look like a contender. Little bit on the 49ers. It's really the first day there hasn't been anything, and if I was going to give you 49ers news, it would just be to give you news, and it'd be pressing things, but I did write a piece at johnlundunleashed.com about how important the last 2 draft classes are to the future success of the 49ers, and if they don't get it done, it's over. I'm not ready to say what some national pundits are saying that it already is, but they got to get some help out of these last 2 drafts. Caboose Pistol, it's back to Kendrick Perkins, who shouldn't have a job speaking, but somehow does, and Random Things, which I put as Rando today, Rando Things, which happened throughout the show, but you know that. So thanks for joining us. It is episode 130. What we do before we jump into everything, if you're new around here, we say hello to everybody in the chat, which is why you should jump over to the chat. Good morning. Dom is here. Joy, Franco, I don't know, I've seen you in a while. Good to see you, man. Great to see the 1-4-20. Scott is here. Good morning to you. Bucko Sports, hello, good morning. Jazz Fan is here. Very nice to see you, my friend. Yeah, Pat Spencer. We got to talk about Pat, man. Harry Johnson. Hello, Harry Johnson. It is great to see you. Yeah, I'm feeling good today, man. I cannot lie to you. No 30-minute warning. I know, my bad. I'll be better. I will be better. I did not give you a warning. I did not get things prepared. I should have got it prepared last night after the post-game show, but then I took off and I was running a little late this morning. I apologize. I should have started with that today. It is great to see. Did I say, Mark, good morning to you? Did I say, let's see, who else do we have? Fozzie is here. Tacky is here. Very nice, man. Kenny, good morning, my friend. Our favorite. She is here as well. Catalina, say hello to everybody. Say hello to Catalina, everybody. And John is here this morning, among others. If I missed you, we will hit you up at some point during the show. Remember, your opinion, whatever it is, absolutely valid in this room. We like differing opinions, much to the chagrin of most of our country right now. I am not always right. I am lots of times never right. It is just a lot of fun to hang out, and differing opinions are fine and welcomed in this room. This is a safe space. Everybody's really cool in here. We have developed a really nice community, which is really cool. That's like, it's opinionated. We say a lot of things, but respect, which I dig. So thank you so much for doing it. All right, series is 3-2. And, look, I can pop up the box score and tell you all these different things, but here's the reality of it before I do that and look at the numbers. Houston played like a team that was down 3-1. They reflect their coach, who's tough and hard-nosed, in Ime Udoka. They're not going to just lay down and roll over. They did not have their golf clubs in the car. They did not have their tickets to Cancun. They're ready to play. And this game was over probably in the first 5 minutes of it. They came out. They played hard. They played focused. They played with energy. They played at their pace. They played great defensively. Amen Thompson picked Steph Curry's pocket a couple of times early to tell him what kind of a night it was going to be. Just every way you could get your ass kicked, you did. That's what they did. They hit shots. Fred VanVleet was red hot, especially early again the second half. I'm just saying the first half. First quarter was 40-24. At halftime, it was 76-49, and it didn't even feel that close. They were just, in every way you could beat a team, they were beating the Warriors. It's just, sometimes that happens in the playoffs, and that's just what happened. They did not want to go home, and it was clear. And the Warriors, for their part, and, you sit here and a lot of times, because, for example, we're sitting in Northern California right now. We're sitting in the Bay Area, so you could be watching from any point. But my point is that there's just times where, okay, we're here talking about the Warriors from the Warriors angle, and we say, okay, what did the Warriors do wrong? What, it's always what that team, whatever team you're taking the angle of, what did they do wrong? What could they have done better? Sometimes you just look at the other team and say they were really good. Houston was just really good, and they were ready. And the line, as you know, is so thin in professional sports that if you're not prepared and ready to play and mentally into it, the other team's going to embarrass you. And that's exactly what happened. One team was really into this game and did not want to go home and was reflective, like I said, of their coach, and played hard and played focused and hit shots and all the things that you're supposed to do. And the Warriors were kind of, in my mind, not into it. They look slow. They look old. And I don't think they're slow and old. I mean, they're older. There's no doubt. But Steph Curry's in great shape. They just said, look, man, we're going to take it to you tonight. Can you match our intensity right out of the gate? No. And a lot of times what happens is you get that initial surge. That home team, especially when they're playing for their lives, they're playing for their season, you'll get that initial surge, and then it'll kind of slow down, and then the game settles in. The game never settled in. The Rockets never slowed down. They were pedal to the metal, maybe late in the game, when all the scrubs were in and everything, and they made kind of a run at them. But for 3/4 of that game, absolute pedal to the metal for Houston, and they were ready to play. And if you're not ready to play, that's what's going to happen. So the Warriors kind of were like, okay, that initial surge, like, when's this going to slow down? When's the carousel going to stop spinning? It's not. They were ready. Conversely, in the second game, you saw Minnesota from the get-go was like, we're the better team. We're going to win. They had the attitude. Minnesota kicked their ass. I mean, it was just physical. And I don't know if you stayed around for that second game, but Minnesota was like, I don't care where we're playing. They were focused and ready to play. So I'm not blaming the Warriors for it. It was just a combination of Houston was really ready, executed their game plan, hit shots, played physically, played at their pace, did everything they were supposed to do. And like I said, I think they're reflective of their coach in that way, and they're going to be tough to knock out of the playoffs. So you didn't play well last night. You're not going to get additional rest. Minnesota is going to get that additional rest. And that's what I was talking about over the last couple of days. You got to put these guys away. You got to get some rest. Because now, especially if you have to play 7 games, which we all know is a crapshoot and anything can happen in that situation, in that scenario, then if you got to play 7, then that's a really quick turnaround, and you got to go to Minnesota. That's going to be a really tough physical series. And I don't know that Rudy Gobert is going to be able to play the way he did. I mean, he traditionally doesn't play that well against the Warriors. Now, he traditionally doesn't play that well, period, in the playoffs, but he was a monster last night. And after the game, LeBron was lamenting the fact that Anthony Davis wasn't there. Look, in the Western Conference, that's a problem. They're going to be better with Luka. They're going to trade LeBron in the offseason or however that's going to work out technically. He's not going to be a Laker anymore because there's just too much your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. Kind of like when Russell Westbrook got traded to the Rockets and it was like, okay, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. It doesn't work that way. You have to have players that complement each other. And they're going to side with Luka. They're not going to side with LeBron because LeBron maybe has 1 more year, 2 more years. Hell, he might retire in the offseason. I don't know. But I got to think that he's going to they're going to put together an old man team. I don't know if it's going to be with Durant or, whatever the case. I bet they put together an old man team and try to make a run for this thing. Maybe one more time for LeBron James. It's not going to be with the Lakers. So anyway, we can get into that conversation a little bit later. But as far as the Warriors are concerned, I mean, I can show you the numbers and let's do it. Might as well. I mean, I can show you how ugly the box score was, and I'm sure you've seen it by this point. But the final box doesn't even do it justice. Let's do this. Let's look at halftime. Because after that, the game was over. I don't know if you went and got a sandwich, a beer, stopped watching the game. I don't know, but it's 76-49. You look right there. 69% nice at half versus 36%. 10 turnovers for the Warriors. That absolutely killed them. Starter-wise, I mean, you can see right there. Look at the starters. I think it was something like, I wrote the notes down. In fact, let me just not be so lazy and because I've got the notes right here from last night. Let's see, starters. 62-25 at the half for the starters. Free throws made 17-7. Fred VanVleet at that point had hit 4 3-pointers in the first half after 8 in the Game 4 loss. So 12 3-pointers in 6 quarters for him. Like I said, 10 turnover points equaled 13. This is the first half. Houston points. Like I said, Warriors just looked sleepy, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's where the game was. Actually, it was the first quarter and was 40-24, so it was even worse. But you can see right there, Jimmy Butler had 6. He hit those. He had a free throw, and then he hit some shots at the end of the quarter. Steph had 11 in that quarter. He only had 13 for the game, but he didn't score until well into the second quarter as well. So you can just see they were just ready to play in every statistical category. And they had 13 free throws in the first quarter, by the way. You want to go back to the first quarter real quick? I'm sure you do. 13 first quarter. Now, look, you can complain and say this and there, the referees. It's just indicative of being aggressive. So you get to the line 13 times in the first quarter. That tells me that your team's being aggressive, and the Warriors had none. And you can complain, and you can be Bob Fitzgerald and cry and do all those kind of things. But the reality of it is they were good. They were focused. They were ready. They executed the game plan. And any way you want to talk about it, I mean, look at the starters just at the end there. I mean, but if Buddy Hield isn't scoring, he's doing nothing. So Steve Kerr is going to have to make a decision. Is it Moses Moody back into the starting lineup? Do they do something? GP2, do you put him in there? I know that hurts the shooting because Butler, Green, and GP2 wouldn't really be shooters, although Peyton the second has hit a couple of corner threes if you leave them wide open. That'd put a lot of pressure on Podziemski and Curry, which we'll get into Curry's situation in just a second. But somebody's got to be able to slow down Fred VanVleet. I mean, right there, 26 points. But, you got Thompson scoring 25. He's not normally going to do that. He was the best. I think he was the best player on the floor. Defensively, offensively, he was getting to the rim. He was playing with fire, even though others did things like Fred VanVleet was absolutely great. Amen Thompson set a tone early in this game. Brooks was relaxed, scored 24. He's not going to do that normally. Şengün, they didn't even really need him. Jalen Green, I don't know what's going on with him. He was effective early, hit that early 3, but other than that, he really didn't do a whole heck of a lot. So, look, it was just a butt kicking, and we can lament that factor. You can move forward and say, okay, now what? Because in my thought, and I want to get out some of your thoughts as well, so hit me up on what you saw last night and what do you think moving forward, which is the more important point here, is that you had them 3-1. You wanted to do what the Timberwolves did. You wanted to not give them any hope. You wanted to step on their neck, and you wanted it to be over. Okay, that didn't happen. Now you go on to Game 6. You can't screw around now because it's a series. And Houston, in their head, they're coming back going, if we win here, then it's our place for Game 7. So conceptually, you're looking at 3-1, and that's a hell of a mountain to climb, right? You're down 3-1, and you're going, damn, unless we have another teabag situation, the Warriors are going to win this series. Now it's 3-2. They've got confidence. They just blew you out. They won in this building April 6th by 10, so less than a month ago, even though we're in May. So it's not the same month, but it's less than a month ago. They came into this building, shut down Steph Curry for 3 of 10 from the field, 1 of 10 from 3. So Ime Udoka is saying to them, look, we can win in this building. We did it less than a month ago. And if they do that and it's 3-3, now all the pressure's on the Warriors. The Rockets are playing loose. They're at home. a game 7 is going to be really tough. So I'm not saying they can't win it, but you might want to win this thing in 6. You just might. And so now the pressure flips back. It's on everybody, but it flips back to the Warriors, because if they lose a 3-1 lead, it's like, what? You're not supposed, you're like 83% if you're up 3-1. So all of a sudden, this becomes a really interesting series. As I write on the chalkboard, it's a series. It is now. This is a veteran team. I think that they'll bounce back. I think that Steph Curry, it's going to be interesting. We'll talk about the thumb in just a second. That's the great equalizer here. How much is that really hurting him? We'll hear from all the participants. I'm going to save the thing for Dillon Brooks in a minute, but he says something actually, and I don't like Dillon Brooks, but he makes a really good point. And Steve Kerr is trying to push the officials on this thing. This is typical now. It's a series, and now we're getting into the psychological warfare of a series. So there you go. Let's see what else. What are people saying before I get out to all? I got a lot of good video for you today. Somebody's birthday, Hurley's birthday. Very nice. Nice. Happy birthday. What are you doing? That's very cool, man. What else? Yeah, I could see that. I could see maybe New York. I mean, that's a good team, though. Whoever, it could be Phoenix. It could be, I'm just thinking of a team that could have some cap room or something, and he and Durant and something like that. I could just see it. I don't disagree with you in this point. The flop he had last night, it's like, dude, stop it, man. Just stop. You're 6'8", 6'9", 260 pounds. You're made out of brick. I mean, there's no way that a dude can bump you. And anyway, whatever. I guess that's just the way it goes nowadays. Steph doesn't do it. But my God, man, just ridiculous. All right, let's get to this. The thumb is the thing now. So after the game, let's start with Steph Curry. And if you didn't see it, the thumb's wrapped. It's getting targeted. It looks funky. In fact, you know what? Let me do this. Let me do this first before I get into all the video. Did you see the thumb after the game? That's not supposed to look like that. That looks almost like a torpedo bat. I mean, I don't know what the hell that is. That's usually reserved for offensive linemen when your thumb looks like that. But Steve Kerr's point on this whole thing is they're targeting the thumb. And I got to be honest, and we'll play something from Dillon Brooks in a minute. If someone's injured and you're playing at the professional level and the stakes are as high as they are, and a guy's got an injured thumb, and the NBA doesn't call it when I hit the thumb, when I hit the hand, which Steve Kerr is going to explain in a minute, why wouldn't I do that? Steph Curry's the best shooter that's ever lived. Anything I can do to get an advantage over Steph Curry, I'm doing. It's the playoffs. And hell, even if it isn't the playoffs, it's the regular season. Hell, if it's not the regular season, it's the preseason. I'm trying to win. It's not Little League. Here's a participation ribbon, Johnny. You're playing professional sports. This is playoffs. This is for a championship. Steph Curry's got a bad thumb. You're going to target it. The NBA's not calling it, so they're going to target it. Let's get into this whole thing. So with that as the backdrop of that funky looking thumb, and I don't care what anybody says, and Steph can say all he wants about it's not hindering him. He's wearing a brace, and it looks like that. I'm sorry, and that's on the shooting hand, the right hand. Whatever. I'm no doctor. That's hindering his performance. I'll just say it. It has to. That's his shooting hand. That's his thumb. It's wrapped, and I don't know what that looks like. I mean, seriously, it look like from the top, it looks like a bodybuilder's shoulders, and then going down, I don't know what it looks like. It looks broken to me. It looks funky at the very least, but whatever. It looks like I don't know, torpedo bat. I don't know what it is. I just know that there's no way that is not affecting Steph Curry's shot. It has to be. So anyway, here's Steph after the game when asked about it.
It looks pretty swollen. I think it was with you walking to the plane.
You got the feds on me? What are you talking about?
No, the internet is the feds at this point.
I love this league so much. I love it so much.
How is your thumb? Besides cold because you're icing?
I don't even know how to answer it. It's just something you're dealing with and you keep it moving. As long as I can play. You got to rap for a reason, but that's it.
Do you feel it's impacting your game at all?
No. No. Not at all.
Okay, you see the sly smile at the end there? You caught it. It's like hockey. In hockey, you don't even have to disclose the injury. It's a lower body injury because they know you're going to target it. I'm playing against you. You got a bad ankle, you got a bad wrist, you got a bad this, you got a bad that. That's what I'm going after. It's just the way it goes. You got bad ribs. You think everybody's being nice. I've done radio shows for years and years and years with a lot of football players, post game shows, those kind of things to a man, every single one. I've done it with defensive tackles, offensive linemen, things like that, guys who are in the trenches, and linebackers, defensive backs, Rod Woodson, Bill Romanowski, all sorts of different people. And to a man, they say, Rod's the nicest guy I've ever met. Honestly, Rod Woodson is one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. He's told me point blank, yeah, guy's got an injury, I'm going right at it. You got some bad ribs, I'm hitting your ribs. You got a bad ankle, I'm grabbing your ankle. Like, I'm not twisting it, but I'm grabbing it. I'm making sure that you feel it. I want to beat you. And I know you got an injury. So if Steph Curry has a bad thumb and the NBA is going to allow them to hit said thumb, they're going to target it. And they should target it. I'm sorry. That's just the way it works. It's professional sports. So, again, you saw Steph Curry at the end there with a little bit of a sly smile. Like, is it affecting you? Nah. How can it not? I showed you the picture. This isn't normal. Sorry, that's not a normal thumb. So it's affecting him. And he told you without telling you that it is. But he kind of, the sly smile was about, what do you want me to say? That it is affecting me, that it does hurt? Like, no, I'm not going to say that. It's obvious that it is, but he's not going to say that. So here's Steve Kerr, and he hopes the rule has changed, but this is part of playoff verbal warfare is what this is. And you've seen it for years and years and years, and I don't care what coach it is. I've covered a lot of these series at some point in the series, and they wait until opportune times, because if you cry wolf like Draymond does all the time, or like LeBron does all the time, they just turn a blind eye to it. But at strategic times in a series, you send a message to the officials, and you hope that even one play, it sticks in their head and you get a call, because that might be the difference between winning and losing a game, or in this case, winning or losing a series. So at times, at opportune times during playoff series, verbal warfare happens to send messages to your players, to the league, to officials. And again, you hope the officials, just in the back of their mind, not maybe they don't even realize it, that they give Steph a call for getting hit on the hand, and it gets them 2 free throws at a key point of the season, at a key point of the game, which could decide the series. So here's Steve Kerr. This is verbal warfare and a shout to the league and to the officials, hoping to get a call.
Has been released. You're allowed to hit the guy's arm, and so what's happened in the league this year is players always are. You're going to outsmart, the rules. They know what they're doing. So players all over the league are just taking shots at guys' shooting hands after release, because they know it's not going to be a foul. And I'm very confident that next year the league will fix it, because it's only a matter of time before somebody breaks a thumb or breaks a hand or whatever. But these are the rules. I do believe they're allowed to call a flagrant if they want. The refs can call a flagrant if the guy winds up and takes a shot. But no, it's been happening across the league all year long. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but we have to take it through the league process to get that changed, and that'll probably happen.
All right, so like I said, he's very smart about how he says it, because he doesn't want the NBA to reach into his pocket and take money. He talks about a thumb, didn't say Steph Curry's thumb, didn't say the officials are wrong, said that the officials were actually right, saying that it's the dumbest rule ever that you can hit somebody on the hand, or in this case, the thumb. So he's sending a message to the officials, because he knows he can't get anything changed right now, though, that it's purely wrong that that's what they're doing. So he's trying to do that. It's verbal warfare. It's very smart, and they're not going to change everything. So next game, because Steve Kerr said that, it's not how it works. Every call is not going to be Steph Curry got hit. Not going to be that. What Steve Kerr wants to do is get a key one down the stretch. He wants to get one. That whole diatribe right there was about getting 1 or 2 calls in a win-or-go-home game in Game 6 for the Rockets. That's just what it is. He wants to get that call where Steph Curry might get 3 free throws, where somebody might get in foul trouble. It's just 1 or 2 calls. That's what it comes down to. And in professional sports, last night aside, many times it's about 1 or 2 possessions. In a playoff game, it could be about 1 or 2 possessions. In a playoff series, it could be about 1 or 2 possessions. And Steve Kerr is trying to get those possessions. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get a foul on somebody and basically tell the officials, without getting fined or right to their face or walking that line like he did, in a very general sense, saying that it's wrong. And we can't change it till next year, and there's a process to it, and blah, 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 but it's stupid and it's wrong. And he's trying to get that to an official, so that when that official sees it or hears the slap or whatever the case may be, and Steph Curry's a superstar player, that he's going to get that call and he's going to go to the line. And it might decide the series, might decide the game. That's the verbal warfare of what goes on in the playoffs, and that's what Steve Kerr just did. Now, I got to be honest, Ime Udoka's on the other team. Is the coach of the other team, obviously. But what he said right here was just pure brilliance. So we get into, and I was watching the TNT broadcast, but I've watched the local broadcast enough to know that every just once in a while, not very often, every once in a while, they talk about officials on that broadcast. Crazy, and I know. But apparently they were talking about it and Steph getting hit on the hand, and I can imagine that it was a very high tone and whiny and crying. But anyway, a reporter for the Rockets brings this up, and here's Ime Udoka's response.
Ime here, one of the Warriors broadcasters tonight on the broadcast accused Dillon Brooks of intentionally swiping at Curry's right thumb. How would you respond to that?
I wouldn't.
How badass that was right there. I know you don't like the Rockets. I know he's the head coach of the other team. But it was not only what he said, it's how he said it, almost like a villain. I wouldn't. Like this, you know what I mean? It's just like, and then that was the end of it. The Warriors broadcast, blah, 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 blah. How would you respond to that? I wouldn't. Like, it was just like, I mean, come on, man. You got to admit, even if you're not rooting for the Rockets, and most of us in this room are not, that was a pretty badass response. I got to be honest. I mean, it was pretty good. Can we do that again and just cut
Warriors
the guy out?
Yeah. Tonight on the broadcast accused Dillon Brooks of intentionally swiping at Curry's right thumb. How would you respond to that?
I wouldn't.
See, I mean, it's not only what he said, it's like, I wouldn't. I mean, come on. That was amazing. I get it. Nobody likes Dillon Brooks, but for once in my entire life, I don't disagree with him. I'm not going to say I agree with him, but I don't disagree with him. So the same reporter asked the same question to Dillon Brooks.
Tonight said he thought you were intentionally trying to swipe down on Curry's thumb, and Kerr was asked about it and said it happens around the league, that it's allowed by the rules, so players throughout the league do that. What do you think about that?
No, I've been playing the game. Shoot. If you're gonna come play the game injured or whenever you got, it's all about the game. You know, if I had an injured ankle, I would attack that ankle every single time. So, whatever they're saying on the broadcast, they can keep saying it.
He's not wrong. I mean, for once, he's not wrong. That's what happens in sports. You know that. I know that. You do it in pickup basketball games. You do it in every single sport. I've talked to a ton of athletes over the years. It's the way it goes. There's no rules in that regard. You got a bad ankle, I'm going at it. You got bad ribs, I'm going to hit you there. You got a bad hand, you got a bad thumb, you get it. I mean, that's just how it goes. That's not new. I understand what Steve Kerr is doing, and I agree 100% with what Steve Kerr's doing. Hey, man, I need a call or two. My guy's hurt. Clearly, the thumb's an issue. You saw it with Steph Curry. You saw 𝐿𝐮𝐬 in that. I don't know if you caught it, but when the question was finished before Dillon Brooks had answered, he kind of had a little bit of a grin on his face, like he heard and he's like, "Yeah, I guarantee you that when they're doing prep work, and you know, you're talking about this is the game plan, this and that. I've told you this. One thing on the chalkboard, a bullet point is let's get Draymond Green mentally out of his game, and the second thing right now is let's attack Steph Curry's thumb. They're allowing it. He's not doing anything wrong, but even if the NBA didn't have the rule like this, as Steve Kerr pointed out, Dillon Brooks would still attack the thumb because every hit he gets on that thumb, it affects Steph Curry. Steph Curry is the head of the snake. We all know that. So if Steph Curry's shot is off, and certainly last night it was, and it has been now for 2 consecutive games, so whatever Steph says, and you saw Steph with the smirks, it's hurting Steph. You saw the picture of it. It's hurting Steph. It's not humanly possible that it's not affecting his shot. It's just not. Your thumb is not supposed to look like this. It's not supposed to look like this. I mean, seriously, that is whacked. So it's affecting his shot. The last 2 games, he has not been effective. They pull him early, you know, all that kind of stuff. Okay, that helps. But, you know, the night before or the 2 nights before, you know, he's, 6 of 13 or whatever it was, or for 5 of 13, whatever it was, for 17 points. This is 2 consecutive games where, give credit to the Rockets defense, Amen Thompson especially. He created, right out of the get-go, kind of set the tone of the way they were gonna attack Steph Curry. But part of the reason they're attacking Steph Curry like that is let's put pressure on the guy. You know, he's got a great handle, but he picked his pocket. Thompson did a couple of times early in that game. That's what they're doing. Put more pressure on Steph Curry. And then when he shoots, man, you're in his face. You're hitting the hand. You're trying to hit the thumb. That's what they're doing. Professional sports. They're trying to, however you want to say it, they're trying to hurt Steph. They are. They're trying to affect the thumb. They're trying to cut the head of the snake off the Warriors. That's what they're doing. And if you look at this series just as a whole, okay, everybody's healthy, but nobody really is this time of year. They're banged up, bruises, whatever it is, tired, whatever, however you want to look at it. Okay, they're not their 100% self. The Warriors are a better team. They have more experience. They're better. But the reality of it is that's not what's going on here. That if Steph Curry can't play at a Steph Curry average level, then the Warriors can't win the series. Jimmy Butler's great, but Jimmy Butler wasn't good last night. But what happens is that Steph Curry draws so much attention, even with the injured thumb. But when he's effective at the highest level, then it opens it up for everybody else. And for Jimmy Butler, it didn't open it up. And for Podziemski and all those guys. And they've got to do their roles. Jimmy's got to be better. Pods has got to be better. Moody was good, but a lot of that was garbage time. I like that. We'll see what happens in Game 6. Does Steve Kerr go back to Moody? Moody scored, 25 last night? Did that convince Steve Kerr that, maybe Moody's back in the lineup and Buddy Hield? Because if Buddy, as I've told you before, and you know this, he's kind of like most Spates used to be. Okay, is he hot? No. Bench. Is he hot? Yes. Keep him in. You just take Buddy's temperature basically before the game. Not you do it with one of those things that go on your head. Maybe you don't do it the old version like my mom used to do. Take out the Vaseline and the thermometer, and you're like, Moon River. Not that. I'm not taking Buddy's temperature like that. But what I am saying is that you just decide, okay, Buddy's hot. Buddy can give us something. Because if he doesn't, he's not giving you anything else. He's not defending. He's not rebounding. That's not what he does. So I'd rather have Moody in there. I'd rather have GP2 in there for defense. Because the other thing is, so we just talked about the offensive end, Steph Curry, and the thumb. So let's talk about the thumb all you want. But on the other end of things, 𝐮𝐬𝐿's going to get his. And at the beginning of the series, it was, if 𝐮𝐬𝐿 gets his, so what? That's maybe a little bit too cavalier, but if 𝐮𝐬𝐿's going to do what he's going to do. Draymond Green is one of the top defensive players in the league, but this is a terrible matchup. Guy, great footwork. He's long. He's got a bunch of stuff in the toolbox, and it's going to be tough for Draymond. We're going to throw Draymond on him, and it's going to be one-on-one. But as long as other guys don't get hot, and the main guy, the guy that I thought was the barometer for the Rockets was Jalen Green. It turns out it's not. The barometer for the Rockets is Fred VanVleet. And in the last 2 games, first 3 games wasn't very good. Hit 1-3 in the first 3 games. Then he hit 8, and then last night he hit 4 in the first half. That's the guy. So if you're the Warriors and you're talking about making adjustments, obviously we talked about energy and the way you come out and execute, and they had turnovers and all these kind of things, committing fouls. The Rockets had 13 free throw makes and attempts. By the way, went 13 for 13 after Game 4, struggling from the free throw line. But you've got to look at this thing now and say, okay, what do we got to do to slow VanVleet down? Because it's one thing if 𝐮𝐬𝐿 is beating us, but somebody from the outside, what are we going to do here? Maybe GP2 starts, because VanVleet, like anybody, I don't care if you're a veteran or a rookie, you see it go through a couple of times, you're feeling good. And the last 2 games, VanVleet is seeing the ball go through, and his confidence is rocket high, sky high, absolutely. So early in the game specifically, I wouldn't be shocked if they put GP2 on him to just say, look, and started GP2 to just say, look, not tonight. His misses his first few, whatever. I'm not saying you have to play GP2 extend minutes. Maybe you do. But early in the game, I can't let Fred VanVleet get confidence. I cannot. Because the last 2 games, he's crushed them. And that one in Game 4 from the side, I was thinking right when he let it go, that's going in, because everything else had gone in. They should have fouled him at that point. Didn't matter. But still, when VanVleet took that shot in Game 4 from the corner, I was like, that's way too good of a look for a guy who's hit 8 threes tonight. So that's one thing the Warriors have to consider. If Buddy Hield is not going to be hot right away, then somebody's got to slow down Fred VanVleet on the other end, and GP2 is your best bet at that. So I might start GP2 in this game. Maybe Moody earned another spot to be back in the rotation, or maybe he just says, look, I have trust in Buddy. Let's just see. But me, I'd probably throw GP2 at him, because I can't let that guy get going. 𝐮𝐬𝐿, you can't stop. But once confidence goes for the other guys, and especially VanVleet from the outside, I'll take my chances with Jalen Green. He hasn't figured out the playoffs yet. Last night he got some early confidence and didn't really lead to a lot. The rest of the guys in the starting lineup are the key guys. They were all over 20. 𝐮𝐬𝐿 only had 15, but he didn't really need to be great. And we'll get into the fracas in just a second that he had with my guy, Pat Spencer. But that's what's going on with the Warriors. So the thumb, the way they came out, getting blown out, the only positive from last night was they got some rest, and hopefully that's going to matter. And I told you, rest is going to be a key in the next series, but they got to win game 6. Because if they have to go to game 7, obviously you want them to win that thing, but that's a quick turnaround to Minnesota and almost a guaranteed loss in game 1. So there's where we are. Thoughts on that? Good morning, Scott. Good to see you, my friend. JJ, did I say hello to JJ? Yeah, 19. You're talking Van Fleet. Yeah, 19 in the first half. So, yeah, not good. And if he's rolling, woo. Hi, Joji. Good to see you, my friend. By the way, if you are new, welcome. No, I don't disagree with you, man. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that, and I don't agree with Brooks stinks and all that kind of stuff. I don't disagree with any of that. What I'm saying is that if we're being honest here, and we are, what he said isn't wrong. And if the league's going to allow it, then you're going to do everything you can. I mean, that's just what it does. I gripped you. My thumb looks like that, and I'm definitely calling into work. Yeah, I'm probably getting, I'm probably hanging out for a while because that thing is nasty. So I don't care what anybody wants to say. That's affecting a shot. It can't not affect his shot. Hi, Kenny. Is not going to heal up until Halloween, no doubt. I mean, look, that's going to be affect the rest of the playoffs. And the reality is, because it's becoming a point now, and it wouldn't have become a point if they won last night, because then you blow somebody out. It's a series when they start talking about, it's 3-2. We better get up there and talk about Steph's thumb and it getting hit. And, a guy brings up the Warriors broadcast and all that kind of stuff. It's like, you knew here? Anyway, I didn't hear it, but I can imagine what it sounded like. So there it is. That's the story on the Warriors. Am I panicked? No, I'm not panicked. But if it was 3-2 and we weren't having so much conversation about Steph's thumb, then I would be okay. But they showed the graphic before the game. I think Steph in closeout games is something like 28 points per game. I mean, he rises to the challenge, unlike the so-called king. When it's a closeout game, Steph usually rises up to the challenge, and he didn't last night. And look, I don't want to sit here and not give the Rockets credit, because, like I said, the theme of last night's post-game show, and when we're talking about this, is the Rockets were ready. The Rockets played well. The Rockets deserve credit. I'm not going to sit here and blame the Warriors for this, that, and the other. That's what we do as sports fans. What did my team do wrong? What did my coach do wrong? What did this player do wrong on my team? That wasn't the case last night. The Rockets just came in and took it. That's just what they did. From jump, they just took it. They just took it. The first 5 minutes, they kicked their ass. First quarter was 40-24, 76-49. That, like, they just, in every imaginable way, they won. But moving forward, the Curry thumb, it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. So give me your thoughts on that. I'm looking at my board right now. So we heard from Curry, we heard from Kerr, we heard from Udoka, we heard from Brooks. The fracas, let's get into that whole thing. And you got to love Pat Spencer. 11 points. Looks like they just pulled him right off the bench. People are getting pissed off because I put that out a long time ago and I got a bunch of hits. I said it looked like Steve Kerr put in a guy who just, those great seats that they didn't used to have, but now you can sit next to LeBron or Curry or whatever, and that's like your seat. So I just said like a week ago that Pat Spencer looked like a guy that got accidentally put in the game. It was like drinking a beer, and Steve Kerr's like, finish that beer, get in the game. In game 2 when they had all the injuries and Pat Spencer actually had to play. Well, Jimmy got hurt, not all the injuries. Jimmy got hurt and 𝐾𝐿 stunk. And so they put in Pat Spencer. But anyway, last night when the backups were making a run, by the way, I'm watching the national broadcast, and it was Spiro Ditas and Candace Parker. And she kept saying during that run with backups, gee, I wonder when Steve will put in the starters. I wonder when Steve will put in the starters. And it was like, they had to get it under 10. Like, everybody knew that. Everybody's watching the game going, if they can get it under 10 by like the 3-minute mark, it'd be nice if it was like the 4 or 5 minute mark, but certainly like at the very, just at the end, like 3 minutes would be the thing. Like, and it had to be at 10, because then, Steph, thumb and all, could hit a couple of threes, and all of a sudden you're scaring the hell out of Houston. They pucker up a little bit and you can steal the game, but they never could get it under 10. And they missed, how many layups did they miss inside those? It was cool to see those guys, the guys off the bench, and Kevin Knox and Pat Spencer and all those different guys. Trace Jackson Davis, they're all playing really, really hard, but they missed probably 3 or 4 bunnies that probably they make those. And we're seeing Steph Curry put the ankle brace back on, and we're seeing Draymond Green, and we're seeing Jimmy Butler. I don't know if they had done anything, and Steve probably didn't want to put them in because they had been sitting for so long. But, if it got under 10, they were going to put those guys back in. It never happened. They just were hovering around that mark. They couldn't quite get there. But so the starters get rest, but this was part of the game as well. And again, watch Sengun. He hardly gets touched. I hate this about the league. I thought a few years ago, they put in this flopping rule. They really need to bring it back. It's gotten to such a ridiculous level. I mean, how big 𝐮𝐬𝐽? Probably, 6'10", maybe 250. And he barely gets touched, and his head goes back like he got shot. And it's like, I'm so sick of this. And it's brought, LeBron's a part of it. A lot of these guys are a part of it. They want to get the call from the officials. And it's almost like the official is not even looking at the play. They're just looking at the reaction of the player, and then they're calling stuff. And look, I'm not saying Spencer wasn't in the wrong, but he barely, he like puts his head towards him, like, get out of my face. And 𝐮𝐬𝐽 acts like he was shot by a sniper. Here you go.
It looked like it was going to be a huge blowout. Yeah, this thing continues to get interesting here down the stretch.
Right there, Jackson Davis took offense to what 𝐮𝐬𝐽 was trying to say to Spencer right there. Just steps in and shoves 𝐮𝐬𝐽.
It's bad acting.
And the fans just now seeing the replay.
That's such bad acting. I mean, honestly, I'll give you a warning if you do that the second time you do it, because it's got to stop. Like, it used to be in the league, and I'm sorry to do a get off the line here, but it used to be in the league that you were tough. And by that, I mean, if somebody pushed you or something, you wouldn't move. Like, you can't move me with a push. Barely even touches him in the head, and 𝐮𝐬𝐽, like, whoa, like in slow motion. Whoa. Like, come on, man. I mean, you're 250 pounds. That's not going to move you. Or like LeBron last night gets hit by Donte DiVincenzo. They're not looking at each other. It wasn't intentional at all. And the referee sees LeBron go down like a ton of bricks and calls the foul. It was actually a foul on LeBron for running into DiVincenzo, but he's thinking to himself, I'll get this call. The dude is 260. He's made out of brick. Maybe not literally, but it certainly looks like it. I mean, he's chiseled like a mother. And I don't know a 40-year-old that could be chiseled like that. He is chiseled. If you walked up to LeBron James on the street, even if it was from the blind side, and pushed him, you wouldn't even move him. He'd be like, what was that? Is that a fly on my back? The dude's massive. And yet, he gets touched and he goes flying, or 𝐮𝐬𝐽 in that position. Like, and it's delayed. It's like, if you're an official and you're watching that, he barely touches him, and then he's like this, and then all of a sudden, like, what is going on? It used to be a badge of honor. Like, you can't push me. You can't move me off my spot. Now it's just like, it's just bad acting after bad acting, and they fall for it. It seems like every time. If a guy falls down, it's a foul. Gotta be. No, it doesn't. Like, the acting is horrible. It's not even good. It's not even good acting. But it's like, oh, okay, you went flying. Like, look, I give Pods a ton of credit, but any kind of screen it gets hit with Pods, he's flying into the first row, and he gets the call a lot. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I mean, look, the whole thing was, I love Spencer here, but watch the delayed reaction.
This thing continues to get interesting here down the stretch.
Right there,
just awful.
Jackson Davis took
good for Jackson Davis.
Offense to.
Good for Jackson Davis. That's what big guys are supposed to do. Get in there, defend your teammate. Very cool. The fact, whatever, they kick out Pat Spencer. Draymond Green went right up to him like, my brother. Right on, man. That's cool. But yeah, look, it was great seeing the backups get some run. It was great seeing those guys bring energy to the table. It would have been really interesting to see if they could have got that thing under 10, and all of a sudden, maybe there's 3 minutes left in the game and it's a 9-point game, and all of a sudden the pucker would happen for the Rockets and they would have knocked them out. I mean, it was crazy. But like I said, they missed like 3 or 4 layups at the end. We're right around the rim on offensive rebounds. Knox got 1 or 2. TJD had one that he missed. It was like, oh, so it could have been a game. But look, they didn't deserve to win that game. They didn't deserve to win that game at all. So there's the story on the Rockets and Warriors. Give me your thoughts on that as we've gone about 45 minutes on this thing. But yeah, this is, I don't know. It's just become tough to watch. A lot of tough phonies out there, kind of like soccer. Exactly. That's what's happened. And I thought a couple of years ago, they just said it was basically the LeBron rule. And they said flops will be called. Like, stop flopping, man. And to me, as just a consumer and a fan of it all, these are massive dudes, big-time athletes. I don't want to see it diving on the floor. And more so, I don't want to see the officials call it. So what the NBA needs to do, honestly, is, okay, you're not going to enforce said rule, which I thought was on the books. But we're not going to award. This is not the Oscars. We're not giving awards for bad acting. We're not. It's not the Razzies either. Like, just no. Like, dive on the floor. Sorry. Give the benefit of the doubt. Don't give the benefit of the doubt to the guy flopping on the ground, and then they'll stop doing it. They're doing it because they're getting rewarded. It's very simple. If I dive here, I think I might get a call, because they just don't see it. They just see the guy fall on the ground and they assume, oh, he must have got hit. I mean, there's delayed reactions on this stuff. You don't even have to be that smart about it. Like a guy gets hit, like, okay, boom, I get hit. 1, 2, 3. Like it's not that delayed, but it's delayed. Like the reaction is delayed. And if you're an official, what they need to do is just say, okay, if we're not going to enforce the flop rule because aesthetically it just looks so bad, we're just not giving the benefit of the doubt to the bad acting. That's all you have to do. You know, they have emphasis on rules all the time in sports. They do it in the NFL constantly. Okay, we're emphasizing this, we're emphasizing that. They do it in the preseason. And then a lot of times in the regular season, they don't even enforce it, but they're trying to change a rule without really changing a rule. And all you have to do is tell the officials, look, they don't get the benefit of the doubt for bad acting. Just because a guy falls down does not mean that that he gets a call, especially a superstar player. He doesn't get a call. You know, I thought there was already a LeBron rule on the books, but really it's the LeBron rule. And we're just changing how we're calling it. It happens all the time in sports. We're changing, like Steve Kerr is saying with the thumb thing and hitting the hand, that needs to be changed as a rule. I don't disagree with him. But this whole flopping thing, it's just telling the officials from an emphasis standpoint, we're not falling for it. I'm not falling for the fact that a 260-pound LeBron James just got knocked over like by a feather. It's just that's not realistic. So stop. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. The benefit of the doubt goes to, sorry, man, you fell down. Sorry. And they'll stop doing it because it's such a big part of the league now. And it's terrible to watch. Like, come on. I'm not buying that a 260-pound guy just got hit to the floor like LeBron did last night. I'm not buying that 𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿 in a delayed reaction barely got bumped in the head and goes back 25 yards. In real life, there's no way you could knock a 6'10", 250-pound guy back like that with your head like this. He just barely even pecked him. Come on, man. But I'm going to get a call. You know, this guy's going to get thrown out. Like, Jesus, quit rewarding that stuff, man. It's terrible. It's awful. And look, for a minute there, it got better. Like when they first put that rule on the books and they said, if you flop, it's going to be on you. And for a minute they did it and it stopped. And then they just cold turkey stopped calling it. Well, they like that. And again, I know I'm going off on a tangent here and I apologize. It has nothing to do with the Warriors and the Rockets, but just aesthetically as a fan watching the game, I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of dudes flopping. It's why Steph doesn't get as many calls as he should. I mean, he honestly, at his weight, and it's funny, he's like 6'3", maybe 185, 190, which would be a really big corner in the NFL. But then out there, he looks tiny. But, I mean, he does get worked around. He does get hit around. He doesn't do a lot of the diving and the stuff like that a lot of guys do. It's a lot of times it's big guys who are doing it. And I'm like, why are you doing that? You know, you're 250, 260 pounds. I'm sorry, man. It's ridiculous. Anyway, whatever. I need to stop doing that. There's no doubt. I'm not saying Draymond does it. I'm saying the league. I'm not saying the Warriors don't. I'm not saying they don't. I didn't say one thing the Warriors don't. Steph doesn't. Draymond does. There's no question. I'm saying the whole league and aesthetically, it's just not fun to watch. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's about the Warriors. I didn't say one thing about it being just the rest of the teams. Yes, the Warriors never flop, and it's everybody else. It's everybody. It's everybody in the league. And what I'm saying is, I'm not complaining. I'm saying stop it, make it an emphasis not to reward bad acting, and the game gets better. That's what happens. Because like I said, in the old days in the playoffs, guys, I'm not saying they didn't, but a lot of times it was, like I said, you had 250, 260, 280-pound men when, you know, the big guys inside, when you used to have that game, these guys weren't flopping. They just weren't. Like, it's a sign of toughness that you tried to push me, you tried to root me out, and I didn't do it. Like, I'm not moving, man. It'll be a long night for you because that ain't happening. It's the whole league. It's the whole league, and it's not fun to watch. That's all I'm saying. Episode 130. Thanks for joining us. 3-2 series. First half, Rockets up 76-49, 40-24 at the half. Give credit to the Rockets. That's all I'm saying. Give credit to the Rockets. We can complain about this, that, or the other. Now the discussion becomes Steph Curry's thumb. How effective can he be? How much is this affecting his game? Can the Warriors not only win this series, but now they're going to play Minnesota in the next series? And I got news for you. Whomever they put on Steph Curry, and they have a number of guys on the perimeter they can put on Steph Curry, they're going to hit the thumb too. This just isn't a Dillon Brooks issue. Dillon Brooks, the villain. And for once in my life, I hate to say this, but I agree with Dillon Brooks. He said, that's the game. They're not calling it. Steve Kerr called out the officials. We'll see if that makes any kind of difference on one or two calls, which is all that Steve Kerr is looking for. But right now, the biggest issue becomes, A, this is a series at 3-2. B, you gave confidence to the Rockets because last night they executed the game plan to perfection. And C, moving forward, how is this going to affect the Warriors in that Steph Curry clearly is affected by this? Let me just play Steph one more time because it's kind of a smirk like, what do you want me to say? Of course it's affecting me. Here's Steph one more time, and then we'll move to some other things.
I don't know if you've seen it online where it looks pretty swollen. I think it was with you walking to the plane.
You got the feds on me? What are you talking about?
No, the internet is the feds at this point.
I love this league so much. I love it so much.
How is your thumb? Besides cold because you're icing.
I don't even know how to answer it. It's just something you're dealing with and you keep it moving. As long as I can play. You got to rap for a reason, but that's it.
Do you feel it's impacting your game at all?
No. No. Not at all.
I should have smirk at the end. Like, what do you want me to say? You've seen it. What do you want? No, that thumb right there, that's not affecting my shot at all. Are you kidding me? He looks like an offensive lineman that's played, right guard in the NFL for like 10 years. I mean, it's messed up. It's not going to heal to the offseason. And he kind of looked at, Anthony Slater was asking the questions. Does a great job covering the league for the Athletic or for the Warriors for the Athletic, but he was looking at, he gave him kind of a smirk. Like, that's why he said he didn't know how to answer it. I mean, look at my thumb. You guys have seen it. Like I said, you guys are like the feds, taking pictures of my thumb. Like, you guys have seen it. How does that not affect something? I mean, clearly it does. He's got a rap on it. He talked about it. Steve talked about it. Steve hit the officials with it. Dylan Brooks admitted to the fact that he's hitting the guy in the thumb because it's going to affect him. So there you go. This is just going to keep happening. But like I said, Steve Kerr is just hoping for one or two calls at a key point during the game, and that's why he said what he said. So that's what's going on as far as the Warriors are concerned. Timberwolves over the Lakers, and they, I watched the entire second half. I was with you for the first half doing the postgame show, and so I got a good chance to look at this thing. And bottom line is, if the Warriors win this series, and I'll get to LeBron in just a second, the Warriors win this series, they're going to have to deal with the same kind of stuff that they had to deal with in this series in a different way, because Gobert is not Şengün, those kind of things, but they've got size. From Rudy Gobert crashing the offensive glass, he had 9 offensive rebounds last night. He had 27 points, 24 boards, but he was a monster on the glass. And then after the game, LeBron was asked about lacking Anthony Davis. And if I'm Luka, I'm like, thanks for that answer, you ass. They're going to be better. LeBron's not going to be on the Lakers next year. We'll get into that in a second. But as far as what the Warriors would be concerned about is Anthony Edwards. He had a good handful of assists and rebounds, but he was 5 of 19 from the floor. He was 0 of 11 from 3, Anthony Edwards, last night. And they still beat the Lakers. And it was because of the interior game. And Naz Reid is more of a three-point shooter, but he's big and he can get inside. He's about 6'10", about 240. He can be an inside guy. They've got guys that can be physical on Minnesota's team in a different way than the Rockets are, no question. And one of the things that I thought would rear its ugly head again and again and again in this series, and hasn't, is that the Warriors actually lead in second chance points and the offensive rebounding, which Houston was number 1 in offensive rebounds and number 1 in second chance points. And the Warriors have done really well in that category. Last night, Minnesota outscored the Lakers on second chance points 20-10. And they just dominated. Second chance, third chance, they were all over the glass. So the Lakers there was nothing to do about it. So one of the issues, if they win in Game 6 or in Game 7, there's going to be a rest issue, as I talked about. Minnesota's going to be physical. Minnesota's going to go after Steph's thumb. They've got a number of different perimeter players they can throw at him. But I don't hate the matchup. I don't hate the matchup with Minnesota. And it's one of those situations where you'd say, kind of like with Şengün with the Rockets, all right, Anthony Edwards is going to do what he's going to do. He's not going to have a 5 for 19, 0 for 11 against you. But he's going to score 30. He might even score 40. But I can't let guys like Jaden McDaniels, who's had a 25 and a 30-point game for Minnesota in this series, can't let him get going. There's a number, Naz Reid from the outside. He's burned the Warriors in the past. I can't let him get going. So it's one of those things where, kind of similar to Houston, in that you have this one superstar player that is the access for everything that surrounds what Minnesota does offensively. And you've just got to decide, look, these other guys just can't get going. Julius Randle is not quite the offensive force that Şengün is, but he can have his moments. He's not as big. He is guardable by Draymond Green, I would expect, again, one-on-one, but he can be a guy that's going to give you 20 and grab 10. Gobert can be a beast on the offensive glass, as we saw last night. Obviously, elixir for him is make him play defense, make him switch, make him get out on shooters. In the series that they've played Minnesota, or in games they've played Minnesota, that's what they've done. And Minnesota, a lot of times, has just got to take Gobert off the floor, because what you do is you try to get him up and down the floor with pace, and then you bring on the switches on the other end, and they're like, okay, Gobert's on Steph Curry. He's not going to come out. He's going to play drop coverage, and Steph's going to get open shots, or whomever it is going to get open shots. So that's what you got to do against Minnesota, but it's not going to be easy. You know, they rocked the Lakers. They kicked their ass. I mean, that was a butt kicking. 4-1, and they just it wasn't even that close, to be honest. I'm surprised they didn't sweep them, and they smoked them. And as far as the Lakers are concerned, and I don't know that you care, but let's just bring it up because LeBron's always a topic. I'll play LeBron here in a second about his decision in the offseason. I don't think LeBron's gone. I think LeBron's done with the Lakers. I think the Lakers are done with him because they have a decision to make. It's clear. If you watch that game, you watch any of the series, you watch the Lakers when they got Luka Doncic, they hit some patches where they were good. But too many times offensively, LeBron's got the ball and Luka's standing around. Luka's got the ball, LeBron's standing around. You know, my turn, your turn, my turn, back and forth. And then defensively, Luka's indifferent to defense. We all know that. And LeBron at 40 has to pick his spots defensively. So you look at the team defensively, they don't have the size of Anthony Davis, so that's a problem. And they really don't have a lot of great individual defenders. Look, Reeves is a really nice player. He's not a good defensive player. So you've got guys who are liabilities defensively, and you have a couple of guys in Luka's case and a lot of times in LeBron's case where they're kind of indifferent towards it. LeBron is saving his energy. Luka just generally doesn't care or move his feet or in general play defense because he really doesn't want to. And so that's kind of what the Lakers were. But so that's a problem. And then they just have to surround Luka with players more like Dallas did. You've got 3-and-D guys on Dallas when they were as good and getting the NBA Finals, and that's not what the Lakers have. So LeBron's standing there, and you saw this late in the game. You know, Luka's doing what he's doing, shaking and baking, then all of a sudden he kicks it out to LeBron. LeBron hit one corner three late in that game. It was the only shot he hit in the fourth quarter. He was 1 for 4 from three. That's just not a match. I mean, bottom line is it's not a match. And so you're the Lakers, you're Rob Pelinka in the offseason, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I got a decision to make. These guys don't play well together. They're both ball dominant. Who do we move? You're not moving the 26-year-old, I think he is. You're not moving the 26-year-old that you just got that's going to be your face of the franchise for 10 years. You're going to move LeBron James at 40+, who very much showed his age in this series. And look, I'm not disparaging LeBron. I'm not. You know, Michael Jordan, all the greats were gone at this point in their careers. And if they weren't gone, then they were greatly reduced. So LeBron's, for as long as LeBron plays, and you know me, I'm not into Mount Rushmores and lists and GOATs and all those kind of things, whatever. There's different eras, different rules, different things that affect everything. I saw Michael Jordan play, covered him a lot. I think he's the best player of all time. I didn't see Wilt. I didn't see Wilt. Didn't see Bill Russell. Didn't see the great Celtics teams. You know, was too young for those teams. So I can't call Michael Jordan the greatest because different eras, different things, all that. I mean, the greatest I saw, but I can't sit here and say, you know, Wilt Chamberlain's numbers are ridiculous. Was he more dominant? I don't know. Didn't win as many championships. People knock him for certain things, but his numbers look damn to me. So, you know, Jordan's the greatest I saw. LeBron James is up there. He's damn really good. And he's got the best longevity as far as staying the longest and being the best for as long as he had, to have all the pressure on him, all the kind of things, and never really misstep other than being kind of a jackass and doing the king things and all that. You know, but that's really irrelevant. That's a me problem, not a LeBron problem. But I don't see the Lakers wanting him back next year. It's not a fit with Luka. So what does LeBron do? Does he retire? I think he's going to form an old man team myself. I think they're going to form an old man team in Phoenix with that owner and try to convince Kevin Durant to stay because they're going to try to get LeBron James. And I don't know how it exactly would work out. Maybe it's not going to be there. Maybe it's going to be back in Miami. Hell, I don't know. Maybe they're just going to clear out a roster and just the old men are going to play for $10 million each or something and just say, okay, let's just try it. Let's just try an old man team one more time and get an old man team together and see if LeBron and Durant and some of these old guys can win a championship. I don't know. That's kind of how I envision it. I could be 100% wrong. Maybe he goes back to Cleveland. Maybe Cleveland gets knocked out of the playoffs early this year and LeBron goes back and plays for cheap in Cleveland and joins, you know, Mitchell and Mobley and that whole group. Maybe he does. Maybe just one more time in Cleveland, right? And LeBron James comes in and maybe that's the last ride for LeBron James. I don't know, but it's not going to be in LA. So here is LeBron asked about his future after the Lakers get knocked out by the Timberwolves.
Will we see you play? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Something I'll sit down with my family, my wife, and my support group and kind of just talk through it and see what happens. And then just have a conversation with myself on how long I want to continue to play. I don't know the answer to that right now, to be honest. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I love it. He's like, we're gonna have a conversation with us. What do you think, LeBron? I don't know, LeBron. Do you feel old, LeBron? Yeah, LeBron, I'm pretty old. Look, I don't think he's done. I think LeBron's got a massive ego, and I think that when LeBron's gone and done, I think that he's going to go on one of those tours. I would never do that. But like Jeter did it, Dr. J, I remember back in the day, and you go into every arena and they give you something. Some players would want nothing to do with that. I think Steph Curry would be a guy that'd be like, no chance. I'm not going on a tour. But LeBron James has the massive ego. He's called himself the king. He has said that he's the best player of all time. I could see LeBron James absolutely positively announcing before like this upcoming year, for example, this is it. This is the last time you're going to get to see LeBron James play. So then he goes on this thing, kind of like, old rock bands, they do that. This is the last tour. And then they tour and tour and tour again. But they market it as, this is it. This is it. Come see me one last time. And I think that LeBron James will probably do that. I think LeBron James in this offseason will have a marketing plan and say, this is it for LeBron. This is the LeBron James farewell tour. And I wouldn't be surprised if he did it in Cleveland and went back home, especially if they got knocked out. Let's say that Cleveland gets knocked out in the conference finals of the NBA finals. They win it. I don't know. Do you need LeBron after they win it? But let's say that Cleveland falls short. That would be the perfect thing. Then LeBron James like, here I come to save the day. And, he joins Mitchell. He joins Mobley. He plays for cheap. That's the only way he's going to get on a team like that. He maybe wins a championship in Cleveland, ends his career. I mean, that would be, for him, the perfect, moment. He got LeBron. He got Bronny to the Lakers. He got Bronny a contract in the NBA. He did everything he's supposed to do as a father. The Lakers, just doesn't fit anymore. I could see him in Cleveland. I could see him in Phoenix, like I said, with that owner that wants to get things back on track quickly and convince Kevin Durant to stay and say, look, Kevin, we're going to get you and LeBron and I don't know, whatever old guys we can get. They're not going to get Steph Curry or anybody off the Warriors because now the Warriors have Jimmy and they look like they're in a pretty good direction for the future. But if they hadn't gotten Jimmy Butler, I could see Curry going, I want to go to the old man team, but not anymore. But I could see that. I could see them trying to get the old man team and LeBron and Kevin Durant and guys like that. And I think they'd be too tired by the playoffs and it wouldn't work out. But I could see that. So maybe that's going to be the case. I just don't think he's done. I just get that. Maybe he is. Maybe he just rides off into the sunset. But I'll ask you this. Does that sound like LeBron to you? Just a quiet ride into the sunset after getting knocked out by Minnesota 4-1? I see LeBron's ego being way too gigantic for that. We're having a tour. And I'm getting stuff, and it's the LeBron tour, and the NBA loves it because, one last time to see LeBron, and they get to market it the whole season long. And he joins it, he joins a team of his choosing. Maybe again, like I said, he plays for less because he's got gazillion dollars. And afterwards, after his career, he's going to do all sorts of stuff. I don't know that LeBron's going to be a media guy. I couldn't see that. LeBron's is high level, so the Peyton Manning, and I know Manning's doing like a Manning cast, but I could see him. Wanting to be a part of a team. There's been talk about Vegas and LeBron James heading up a team, a franchise in Vegas. And I was there, like I said, last weekend, and there's no question. I talked to a lot of people and everybody's just expecting it. Like, yeah, LeBron and this crew and everything they're going to bring. Like a lot of people thought the Mavericks would go to Vegas. The Adelson group is there and they have a major presence in Las Vegas that they could. I still wouldn't count that out. What is an owner going to do? Buy a team and they go, yeah, we're going straight to Vegas. I don't even think Clay Bennett, who stole the Sonics and put them in Oklahoma City, I think at the beginning, didn't he say he was going to keep them there and then all of a sudden, he changed? I don't think that the league would allow them to take him out of Dallas. But then again, I didn't think that the league would allow Oklahoma City to be a team over Seattle. So who knows? But I think they're going to put a team there, and I think LeBron James could be a big part of that team. So, or, an owner type, a face of a franchise type, I could totally see that. LeBron being that. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I think his ego's so giant that there's no way he just rides off into the sunset now. I think it's going to be one of two things. I think it's going to be an old man team somewhere, or I think it's going to be Cleveland doesn't win the championship this year, and he jumps in there with Mobley and Mitchell and all that kind of stuff, plays for cheap, and goes back to Cleveland and tries to win a championship. I mean, if I'm him, that's what I do. That team is damn good. I don't know that they're going to win the championship, but because they're pretty young, but they're damn good. And so I could see that. Thoughts on LeBron, thoughts on the Lakers. Everybody loves when the Lakers lose, except for Lakers fans, but everybody else. Absolutely. Daryl says to give up playing at home to win a championship elsewhere. MJ stuck with one team. Yeah, no doubt. I don't know how much it's going to matter at the end of the day because that's just the way the era is. I mean, how many damn teams has Durant played for now? My God. The days of what Curry is doing, and I think now he's going to end his career. Although I'll tell you, I believe this steadfastly, and you may disagree with me, that if Jimmy Butler hadn't come to save the season and for the short term, the franchise, I've told you this again and again and again, I think Steph's asking for a trade. The Warriors are out of the playoffs. There's no question if they don't make the Jimmy trade. They were 25-26 at the time. They were meandering at the bottom of the Western Conference in the 9-10. I think they get knocked out, whether it was in the play-in, whether that was by Oklahoma City already because they were the 8, whatever the case may be. I think they get knocked out. And I think Steph Curry, low-key, behind the scenes, to not cause anything, is saying, that old man team that LeBron's forming or whatever, I don't want to be on a team that's mediocre. I'm not playing to make my three-point records be so out of reach. That's not what Steph Curry is about. He's about, trying to win more championships. And so you could tell throughout the season, he wasn't happy. He was not happy being on a team like that. And he said it again and again and again. He was greasing the skids. So, I'm not knocking LeBron for being on the different teams. I get it. And his biggest transgression probably in his entire career was, I'm taking my talents to South Beach and that stupid thing with Jim Gray and all that. I mean, that was dumb. But if that's the biggest transgression, to defend the guy for a second, if that's the biggest transgression you have, and you were on the cover of Sports Illustrated when it actually meant something at the age of 17, you're playing ESPN games as a junior in high school. You went through all this hype. You're 40 now. You've won a number of championships, whatever people think of that. The one in 2020 was fake, no question. But the reality is, he fulfilled what he was supposed to do on and off the court. And there are very few guys that do that. There are very few people that do that. Maybe you win championships, maybe you don't. But the biggest thing to me is other than a couple of stupid things that he did, but not illegal, he didn't really get himself involved in a lot of the stuff that a lot of players get themselves involved in. It was a lot of pressure from day one for that dude. So anyway, I think he's going to play one more year. And I think there's going to be a big tour. So, yeah, that's a good point. His hair was on point last night. I don't know if you know this, but I mean, look, his hair, I don't know if it was, the spray was on point or whatever.
Years will we see him play?
Solid. I mean, the hairline's looking good there. Let me pop it up. I mean, honestly, if we're going to make physical appearances show fodder, pretty good hair. That's a good hair night for him. I'm thinking it was out of a can, but still. And he got the beard was colored nice. He looks good. It's a good look. Physical appearance used to not be show fodder because I didn't want anybody to take a shot at my physical appearance. So like when I bring those things up, then it becomes show fodder and people can take shots at me. That's why I didn't do it. But you brought it up, so I thought I would. What else do we got? Let's see. All right, that's good. All right, that's good on LeBron. That's good on this. So again, episode 130, we talked all about the Rockets and the Warriors. Remember, if you missed the start of the show, all you have to do is go back and I'll put chapters up. So you're like, don't want to hear the Warriors, want to hear about the Giants. Don't want to hear about the Giants, want to hear about the Niners, whatever. We put the chapters up during the right after the show. We also put the show on a podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. So make sure that you hit us up that way. Please make sure you're subscribed. We're not going anywhere. I'm just letting you know. Please make sure you're subscribed on John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, as well as the Bay Area Sports Collective. Tom Tolbert and I are going to do something, I think, a little bit later on. So make sure you check that out. Facebook, LinkedIn, all those places, at John Lund Radio on X this morning and on Instagram as well. Let me check on my Instagram, people, make sure we're doing good. Yeah, looking very good. All right, we are set. All right, let's term rules be an issue. LeBron's last Lakers game. Let's get to the Giants real quick. They lose yesterday. It is technically a 2-game sweep because it's 2 games. I'm not too worried about it. But where I'm at as far as the Giants are concerned is more so. Let me share my screen with you. We are at May 1st. So this is a perfect time to take a look at where these guys are. And look, as far as, let me just pop this up. That's stats. Where's the standings? I want to just pop this up real quick. So if I had told you a month ago, and these are wild card standings, if I had told you a month ago that the Giants would be right there, 19-12, the Dodgers are leading the division again. The reason I bring this up, there are 3 wild card teams. I'm already assuming that the Lakers are going to win the division unless there are major injuries. But the Padres, who just swept you, would be the number one wild card team. You'd be 2, Phillies would be 3. I know it's way too early to do this because the quarter pole point of the season is coming up in 10 games at 40. And that's really when you assess. But again, I'm just doing the 1 month in look. All right, it's May 1st today. So Dodgers leading the division again, 3 wild cards. So now you're dealing with Padres, not just the Dodgers, Padres, Phillies, Diamondbacks, Brewers, Reds, Braves, I still think are in this thing, as are the Cardinals. These 4 teams, Nationals, Marlins, Pirates, Rockies, whatever. And the Rockies are a godsend because they're coming to town. They're 5-25. I mean, I don't care if it's 30 games or what. They're out of it. They got a minus 77 run differential. They're done. I think these 4 teams are done. I think these are the teams. So for 3 spots, you have Padres, Giants, Phillies, Diamondbacks, Brewers, Reds, Braves, Cardinals. You got 8 teams for 3 spots. Are the Giants one of those 3 teams? Right now, they are with the Padres, Giants, and Phillies. I'm concerned about the Diamondbacks. I never know what to expect out of the Brewers. They lose guys still good. Reds, I don't think are going to be a factor. This is the team right here. The Braves sitting at 14 and 16 through 30. They're going to make a run. They're just too good not to. So these 3 teams, and the Mets look legit. The reason the Phillies are sitting here is the Mets look legit. Again, only 30-something games into the season, but don't know if we saw this coming. We thought maybe that, either the Phillies or the Braves would win that division. Now the Mets are leading, playing really well, and that stinks for teams like the Giants because now the Phillies and the Braves are teams that are going to be fighting for a wild card. So legit wild card contenders, Padres, Giants, Phillies, D-backs for sure. I'll wait on the Brewers and the Reds, but the Braves absolutely are. So it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, and they're going to keep things going. So with that as kind of the backdrop of looking at this team at this particular point, let me share my screen with you one more time, and I want to show you something when it comes to the Giants. So let me look at the numbers so far. Let me see. I just showed you the wild card. Let me get to – here we go. So let's get here. All right, so starting with pitching, Logan Webb fine. By the way, his ERA went from 198 to 283. Rough. Still holding out on Jordan Hicks. If Randy Rodriguez is as good as he's looked, and I know he finally gave up some runs, still, I'd like Hicks to be the long guy. Robbie Ray, we're living with. Verlander goes tonight, and it's against the Rockies, so he's starting to come around. Landon Root was brutal yesterday. Brutal. And so he had a couple of starts in a row. He had one start where he had 20 swings and misses, then a great start after that, and now that's 3 consecutive starts where Landon Root has now struggled. So on the season, a 5.10 ERA, but it's not even so much that because like Verlander right now has had a couple of nice outings. I'm starting to feel good about him. Ray's, I'm feeling good about. Hicks had a few really horrible outings, but last time wasn't bad. I'm not worried about him at all. I'm not worried about Webb at all. But between Roop and Hicks, one of those guys has got to be the long guy. And Roop, to me, has got to be the guy. And you're always going to mess with your 5. And I understand that. But this guy, Hayden Birdsong, he's just too good. And I keep bringing it up, but he's ready. And if you're the Giants, and the reason I showed you the wild card standings and now the Dodgers are in first place, I know we're only 30-something games into this thing, but you don't have time to wait. Let's just see. This dude, if you didn't have a guy pushing him, like if Hayden Birdsong wasn't sitting around, it's like, okay, your 5 is your 5. Just keep rolling with it. But Roop now has 3 bad starts. Hicks has 2 of his last 3 where he struggled. The other 3 guys, Webb, Ray, and Verlander, they're going to be there. They're veterans. I mean, in Webb's case, that's different. But I'm talking about Ray and Verlander is kind of similar in that they're veteran guys, and you're just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. That's what Bob Melvin's going to do with veterans. He's going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But when it comes to guys like Roop and Hicks, they're not cemented in. And Hayden Birdsong is just too good. So, and the other guys, Roop's been a long guy before. So, to me, Hayden Birdsong deserves a shot. And I know there's 162 games and all that kind of stuff, but you can't wait. I mean, that's just how I see it. You just can't wait. It's just going to be too competitive. You're probably not catching the Dodgers for the division. And I just showed you there's 8 legitimate teams in the National League who can help, who will fight for that those 3 wildcard spots. The Padres look like one of them. And what's happening with the Mets really affects the Giants. And I think the Mets are legit. Because that means I thought either the Phillies or the Braves would win the division. Now the Phillies and the Braves are going to be fighting for a wild card. Phillies have been legit so far. Atlanta hasn't, but Atlanta's too good to be a sub-500 team. So they're going to be in the mix at some point. All right, so that's kind of how it goes. Now, as far as the offense is concerned, The bottom line to this whole thing and this mirage that was happening at the beginning of the season when they were scoring tons of runs, we knew that wouldn't last. And I told you that. So what the key is, on the road, they got to score 5. And at home, because of the ballpark, they got to score 4. I mean, that's the key to everything. They lose 5-3 yesterday to the Padres. So let's look at the lineup. I love Patrick Bailey. He's a great defender. You can't keep hitting 160, man. Can't. Gold Glover, love it. 441 OPS with a 160 batting average in April. Sorry. I mean, you don't even have to hit 260. 230, 240, competitive at bats. Patrick Bailey, give me competitive at bats, please. 160, you can't even live with that. I mean, as great as he is defensively, because this offense is not great, like you could live with a Patrick Bailey, I was going to say hitting 160, but you couldn't, because that's an automatic out. That's a pitcher in your lineup. He's great defensively, but he's got to get that average of like 220, 230. He's got to get that OPS, at least in the high 6s, if not the low 7s, which is average. But I mean, you can't be an automatic out. Right now, he is. Lamont Wade Jr., my God, how long is this going to go? It's like he's on a surge right now, and he's hitting 125. Had that shot down the left field line in Game 1 against the Padres. Woohoo! Look at him, and he's up to 125 with a 490 OPS. You have 2 players in your lineup right now that are generally outs. Tyler Fitzgerald started slow, is better. Adames, I'm not worried about yet, but defensively, it's an issue. Chapman, again, those 26 walks, and so you look at the OPS and you go, not horrible at 733, about league average there. But he's hitting below the Mendoza line at 198. Elliot Ramos has been hot and cold. Hit one out yesterday that was impressive. Jung-Hoo Lee's been great. Yaz has been great. Wilmer's starting to tail off a little bit, but still, I mean, the April that Wilmer Flores had is ridiculous. Last year, he had 4 home runs and 23 RBIs on the season. He has 7 and 28. So he was great in the first half. The first month. Matos to me is so confusing, not because of him, but what are you going to do with him? Yaz is red hot in right field. Jung-Hoo Lee is great in center, and you got to have Ramos in every single day. So what is where are you going to play Matos? He's hitting 158, and I don't think it's his fault because he just doesn't get at bats. I mean, if you look at right there, 38 at bats, 39 plate appearances. So first of all, 1 walk on the season, not great, which still shows that he's got to get more patient as a hitter. But I can't blame really anything that he's doing because, well, it doesn't look great. He's hitting 158, which is terrible, which the organization has got to be looking at some point to go, well, he's a 4A player at this point maybe? But he shows flashes, but he's got to get regular work. He can never get into a rhythm. Well, he's an outfielder on a team that has 3 outfielders that are pretty much going to play every single day. Like at the beginning of the year, we're like, what's Yaz going to be like? And there would be a spot for Matos, but Yaz has been one of their best hitters, and he's a gold glove caliber right fielder. So there's nowhere for Matos to play. And to me, as much as it'll piss off Giants fans, I'd rather have him in AAA, having at bats and then bring up a 4th outfielder type. But Matos clearly, and I'm not blaming him for this, he's a young player. Veteran players, that's why you have veteran players on the bench a lot of times, is because they can get themselves going and not play very much. Once or twice a week, they can be ready to play. Matos is a young player who's never established himself. And I fear at some point is probably going to be traded and might be a decent major league player. But the fact is he can't get any rhythm, and there's nowhere for him to play. It's not softball. There's no rover. Can they play Luis Matos at first base? I mean, no, not really. It's not where he's been. So you have the injury to Schmidt. VR is a 4A player. I don't know why Klaas is here. Huff does not impress me, although he hit a home run a few games ago. So the bench is not great. But as far as Matos is concerned, I just feel bad for the guy. So, look, offensively, they got off to a really nice start. They can score some runs here and there. Adames is going to get the back going. Fitzgerald's been better. Bailey and Wade have been atrocious. Ramos has had his moments. Lee and Yastrzemski have carried the offense, basically. And I don't know that that's going to continue. So, look, first base is a major issue. You got to keep Bailey in there because he's so good. But hitting 160, that's not going to get done. And then the bullpen's been great. I mean, absolutely phenomenal. You look at Walker, he's got a 591. He'll straighten it out. I'm not worried. Miller's been absolutely great. Rodriguez just gave up his first runs the other night. He's been better than you could ever expect. Tyler Rogers, I'm over. Like at the beginning, I was like, this guy can't. I mean, they just can't hit him. And Duvall is early in the season, he was struggling a little bit, and he's really gotten it together. So their relief pitching is among the best in the league. I think it's second behind the Padres as far as ERA is concerned. They got to get the fifth starter role for now, and I think that's bringing in Birdsong. And then they've got to take serious looks at. I mean, they're not going to take Bailey out of the lineup, but if your catcher is an automatic out or like having a pitcher in the lineup, then you've got to look at Lamont Wade. You've got to see what's down there. And here's the problem. Let me take this off your screen real quick. Here's the problem right now. So you think to yourself, okay, do they have anybody? And I don't sit around looking at box scores for the River Cats. But this morning I was like, is there anybody doing anything down there? And I have it somewhere. I think I have it among my million things that I have open here. I think I have this. Yeah, so this is what's going on at AAA if you're like me and you're not really watching all the time. Not bad production out of Luciano, hitting .234, though, with a 783 OPS in a hitter's league. Absolutely a hitter's league. He's playing left field. So they must be just saying, let's just give it some time. To be completely honest with you, and I think maybe their viewpoint is, let's get Luciano in left and just play him, and we're not going to mess with him and we're not going to pull him up. So I don't know that he's going to be there. I wish Luciano could play first base because they're just dying right now for a first baseman. But he's got a frying pan for a glove, generally speaking, and he's 23 or whatever he is, 23-year-old DH. That's not great. So even though he's been fairly productive with a low batting average, I don't expect them to bring up Luciano anytime soon. Brett Wisely was really good last year, especially when he first came up. His numbers aren't overly impressive, and he's not the position you're looking for. Hunter Bishop was taken in the first round years and years and years and years and years ago. He's just okay. We've seen Auerbach with a cup of coffee every now and then. Jake Lamb is a veteran, so you might think to yourself, okay, Jake Lamb could take over. He's a left-handed hitter as well, so he could take over for Lamont Wade Jr., a homer, 11 RBIs, and OPS in a hitter's league of 707. He's not exactly ripping the cover off, but they may just have no choice. They already brought up VR to see what he can do, and VR was just ripping the cover off at 368. But again, I like the guy. He was on my show tons of times, but he looks like a 4A player, and then that's it. So the only guys you would look at AAA and to potentially, easy for me to say, to potentially replace Lamont Wade Jr. would be Luciano, who would be a DH, and you'd move Flores to first base, which isn't wonderful. Nobody else really is a first baseman on this roster, and then you go to Jake Lamb, who's a veteran, who's had success in the league, but it's been a long time, and he's not exactly crushing it. 247 with a 707 OPS, and I'll reiterate again, you're in a hitter's league. So it's if you're not putting together those kind of numbers, but they may have no choice at some point because Lamont Wade Jr. has just been so bad at first base. And then and look, it wasn't a great throw by Adames the other day, but he couldn't dig one out of the dirt. It's like, look, if you're not getting things done offensively, then you got to play stellar defense, and he's not doing that. So look, I don't want it to be a negative. I feel great about the Giants. I think you should feel great about the Giants. I knew that the early season offensive splurge was a mirage. They've got to look, I don't think Bailey's going to hit great. He's not going to go out of the lineup, so there's no reason for me to talk about replacing Patrick Bailey because he's so bad offensively. So they're just going to stick with him. But what you have to do is then you cannot have these other guys struggling. So on paper, you got Chapman hitting below 200. That's not great. Adames, okay, we're a month into this thing. It's time to start hitting. They gave you a lot of money, and you're supposed to make up for some positions that aren't hitting well. So Adames has got to get his ass in gear offensively. Fitzgerald has been better. Yaz and Lee, Yaz is a roller coaster ride offensively. He had a great April. I don't expect that to keep going, so other guys are going to have to pick it up. Jung-Hoo Lee has been a bit of a revelation, and like I said, Ramos got off to a nice start. He's kind of a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but they're going to keep Ramos in there because of what he did last year. He's still got 25 home run power. I think that's what he'll end up, 20 to 25 home runs. He'll frustrate you at times, fish after some pitches he shouldn't, but they're going to stick with him. So there's no doubt. And then, everybody was on the Bryce Eldridge train. He's not coming anytime soon. So if you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, Eldridge, first base, he's not even close. So that's the story on the Giants. Encouraging. I don't know what you would call the first month. I would absolutely call it encouraging. I think they can be a contender. There's no doubt. But Bob Melvin sticking with veterans and making sure you just don't have a lot of room for error. And even though it's a 162-game season, you don't have a lot of time to wait on guys. So as I said, you're going to wait on Bailey. I get it. He's a defender. He's not going anywhere. But Lamont Wade Jr., you better figure something out. And I know that you don't do trades at this point of the season. It's far too early, but the Padres a year ago got Luis Ariz. So somehow, some way, you've got to find a first baseman, because you can't have Bailey not hitting and Adames struggling and Chapman below 200 and think that you're going to score runs. You got to score 4 in this ballpark. That's the magic number for the Giants. You got to score 4 in this ballpark. You got to figure out a way. And you've got a couple of guys in the lineup right now that are automatic outs, like having a couple of pitchers in the lineup in LaMonte Jr. and Patrick Bailey. So I'm encouraged. You got Verlander on the right track, Ray on the right track, Webb doing his thing. I can't wait on Landon Root. It's been nice. We gave you, 6-7 starts. Birdsong's just been that good. The bullpen is very solid. That's not going anywhere. These guys will contend, but it comes down to a couple of different things. They've got to be great, because the offense is going to be the offense. They're not going to be what they were early in the season. They were, second. I think they were second at one point in runs scored. I think the Yankees were ahead of them. Might have been third. I think Yankees and maybe Padres or something like that, but they were right up there. And that's just not going to be them. They're not going to do that all season, but they can pitch. They can have great relief pitching. They can defend, but they've got to get the key hitters going. And if you got a couple of guys in the lineup, LaMonte Jr. especially, I don't know how long you can wait. So there's that. Give me your thoughts. I'm excited, though. I think they're a good team. I think they can be a good team. Let's see. Lamont needed to get nothing I could describe. Hopefully May will shine him. Yeah, it's true. I mean, he's not that bad. He can't be a 125 hitter. He was hanging around. Like I said, the Mendoza line is 200. I don't know what 100 is. I don't know what they call when you're hovering around 100. But anyway, yeah, it was ugly. It was very ugly. Yeah, 125. It's like, bro. I mean, even in the clubhouse. Hi, James. Even in the clubhouse, you can't be like, come on, bro. Yeah, no. I agree with you 100%. I'm not saying you're going to switch out Bailey. They're not. And what I mean by this is they've got to get other guys going, because Bailey right now at $160 and a 441 OPS, it's like, look, he's not going anywhere. So we can't have Bailey and LaMonte Jr. being what they are, or Bailey, LaMonte Jr. and Willie Adames doing what they are, or add Matt Chapman at below 200. I know he has 26 walks and it's not a terrible OPS. It's about league average. But he's got to get things going. Ramos is hot and cold. And like I said, as bad as LaMonte Jr. was in April, Mike Yastrzemski was that good. And the career numbers say that Mike Yastrzemski is going to be a roller coaster ride. He's been awesome to this point. Both sides. He does what he does defensively, and he's been great with the bat. But he hasn't shown that in his career. And if he has, it's been a long time. I mean, when he was first with the Giants, he was much more of a consistent hitter. Now he's kind of, like I said, he's a roller coaster ride. So I can't expect him to do that. So if Mike Yastrzemski goes down back to the mean of what he is, then who's an elite hitter in your lineup right now? 𝐿 Lee? That's about it. And then then you have to rely so much on your pitching. Again, I don't want to sound like I'm down on the Giants, because I'm not. It's a great start. Great start. But a lot of pressure on the rest of the NL West. I think they can do this. But as I said, if I'm Bob Melvin, even though we're 30-something games into this thing and we're not even at the quarter point, as good as Arizona, the Dodgers, and the Padres are, let alone, like I said, the East with the Mets being good, that means the Phillies and the Braves are going to be in the wild card. And I don't know really what the Central is going to be. I think the Cubs are legit. Outside of that, Brewers, Reds, they're hovering around 500. I don't know about that. But certainly the East, with the Phillies and Atlanta not being at the top of that division, a lot can change. But I think the Mets are a legit team. So that's 3 teams out of the East. 1 wins the division, 2 is going to fight for a wild card. And then you go to the West, Dodgers likely to win the division, and Diamondbacks, Padres, Giants. It's so competitive, you can't wait. So you can't sit there and go, do we give Landon Roop another start when Birdsong's this good? You can't afford to. Can I keep starting LaMonte Jr. and hope that he comes out of it? Give him a little bit into May, but after that, it's like you got to start shuffling the deck. Can't keep doing that, because I agree with all of you. Bailey's not going anywhere, and he's probably not going to hit. I mean, he's not going to hit 160, but he's also not going to hit 280. So you're going to have a catcher that's not a reliable bat, because he's got to stay in the lineup, and you can't have a bunch of other bats doing that, especially if Mike Yastrzemski falls off a little bit, which I expect him to do in May, because that's what he's done. So, yeah, okay, that's a good call right there. That's a good way to call it. You're on the interstate. Yeah, that's right. They do call it that. So it's the Mendoza line, and then you're on the interstate. Is that right? I think you're right about that. Mustache May get a Safeway Jr. I hope so. It's got to be something. Like, dude, I don't know. You can hit 240. I mean, he's a guy that the problem with him is that you get frustrated because he's not aggressive as a hitter and he's getting on base. But right now, I would take that guy in a second. Like, okay, you don't knock in a lot of runs or anything, and you don't hit a lot of home runs, but at least you got on base before. Like, then start getting on base again, like something. Because right now it's like, dude, what are you doing? I don't know how Joey Bart is doing. I lost track. Is he doing well? Is that why you're bringing that up? Now I have to look it up. Can somebody look that up for me? Because now I got to look up what Joey Bart is doing. So close that window. What's going on? Come on, man. I'm just trying to look up Joey Bart. I mean, how long can that possibly take? Let's see. Joey Bart. If he's playing, let's see here. No, he's hit 297, 74 at bats. No power. Home run, 7 RBIs, 297, OPS of 821. So it just took Joey a minute. Jeez. 821 OPS from their catcher, and he's hitting 297. Again, a home run, 7 RBIs. Not tremendous production, but still, he's hitting 297 and 821 OPS. I'm pretty sure that you knew that, but I just wanted to look that up. Yeah, he's doing pretty good. He's not the defender that Patrick Bailey is, but probably shouldn't have been released either. Because what is it? Sam Huff is the backup, is the catcher. Oof, he's rough. I mean, he did hit an oppo shot. I will say that, but that was it. All right, let me move on to. So there's the story. Good news about him. As far as the 49ers, I don't want to just shove things down your throat if there's no big stories around the 49ers. I'm not going to just say, hey, let's just talk Niners for the sake of talking Niners. It's a slow point of the season, but I will say that I wrote a piece that you should check out. This is all I'm going to talk about as far as the Niners are concerned today, because there's not a ton. And like I said, I'm not going to just force things to force things. Let's see. There it is right there. So if you go to JohnLundUnleashed.com, wrote a piece. It's the young guys or bust for the 49ers. I went through we've talked about this many times. 22 and 23 draft, absolute bust, except for Brock Purdy generally. And then you look at these next two and I'm going these two together. So Pearsall, Green, Pooney, Mustafa, Guerrero, Cowing, et cetera, last year. And then, of course, you can see right there between Mikael Williams and Alfred Collins and Nick Martin, Upton Stout, all this kind of stuff. These guys have got to start and contribute. And so that's a huge thing for the 49ers. So basically looking at the next two and just saying, look, a lot of people are counting the 49ers out. I don't care so much about power rankings. We've seen all these power rankings. I think the Niners are in the 20s or something like that. The schedule is easy. There's no question about it. But essentially, I'm saying for them to be a contender, okay, the schedule is so easy that they could win 9 or 10 games and not be a great football team, be a wild card or win the division and not be a really good football team. I know that's weird to say, but it's only 17 games. And they have one playoff team coming in here, and that's the Rams, and they're definitely beatable as far as the 49ers are concerned. They could go undefeated at home, and that would mean what? Are they 9 at home this year or 8 at home? I can't remember. I think they're 8 at home. And then win a couple of games on the road, and all of a sudden you're looking at a 10-win football team in the playoffs, and I don't know that they're that good. Defensively, they went all in on defense. I understand that, but my point in this piece at JohnLundUnleashed.com right now is these classes, these next two, because 22 and 23 are so bad, these are supposed to be the guys that are starters. Like when I look at Mikael Williams, he doesn't have a choice. He's got to start. And I know that people say that he's a good edge setter and he's a good run defender. Okay, he's got to be that. But then he's got to make it so that that teams, when they prepare for the 49ers, look at it and say, geez, we're going to double Bosa, but man, Mikael Williams is a badass too. And what are we going to do there? And he's crushing the pocket, and then Nick is getting sacks and everything else. But he's got to be a starter. He's got a great edge setter. And he's got to get 7 or 8 sacks. I mean, that's just the way it goes. And the difference between Leonard Floyd, you're going, well, Leonard Floyd had 8.5. Leonard Floyd got 8.5 and then was horrid against the run. He's got to be everything right out of the gate. They just have no choice. A guy like Nick Martin, I don't trust D. Winters. Nick Martin has got to be good right out of the gate. Upton Stout, who's going to be a inside corner, a slot corner only at like 5'8", 185, 190 pounds. I like all these videos everybody's throwing out. He's feisty and he's this and that. Sorry, you're a third-round pick. Third-round pick start in this league. First rounders, you're hoping that they're going to be a star or above average. Second and third rounders are the foundation of your team. And they didn't get that in the previous 2 drafts in 22 and 23, because they traded the first-round picks for Trey Lance, which was an absolute bomb. And now that's rearing its ugly head now. So these guys are coming in, and they don't have a runway to be great or to be good or to be at least a starter. I mean, you're looking at Alfred Collins. He's got to start and be good and stop the run. CJ West, fifth rounder out of Indiana? Sorry, you got to be good right away. You got to be at least a rotational player. So anyway, I write about that in the piece because there's just no runway. There's no runway for the 2025 guys. And the 2024 guys, and Mustafa I leave off the list because he's got that knee injury. But Pearsall's got to step up. Got to be great. Renardo Green had a Pro Football Focus number of 69.2, which, nice, was the best corner above Charvarius Ward, above Demo Lenore. That number's got to be a 79 or an 80 this year. He's a starting corner. Sorry, man. No ramp. 2024 guys, you got to step up. Pearsall's got to be great. Renardo Green's got to be great. Right away. Mustafa gets a bit of a break. Guerrero, we'll see. I think that Jordan James will actually be the backup running back, and Guerrero might be the 3 or a specialty guy or something like that. But these guys, Pooney's got to even be better in year number 2, which is crazy, with the 6th ranked Pro Football Focus guard last year. He's got to be even better. I mean, they just don't have a choice because John Lynch told you, we're going to cut all this back. We're going to pull the numbers back. And we're going to rely on the draft. Well, it's not just this draft. It's 2024's draft. Those guys have to take a step, and the guys have got to be great right out of the gate. Sorry, Mikael Williams. You know that upside we talk about? We need it now. Now. Not 2 or 3 years from now. Right now. Because if not, then this team is out of the window. I don't think they are, because I think they'll score enough points, but they didn't address the offensive line in a positive way to me, which means, when you want to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust and a tough, badass, punchy-in-the-face football team, they don't have the offensive line for that. And then defensively, Robert Saleh's back, and that's great. But Robert Saleh presided over some of the league's worst defenses his first couple of years with the 49ers because he didn't have the horses defensively. And right now, he doesn't have them because I don't know what these guys are going to bring to the table. In the front 7, he has Warner and Bosa and potential. And on the backside, I'm not a big Jair Brown fan. I think that his speed is a major issue for them. I'm just not a big fan. And now that Mustafa's out, you got issues at strong safety. And Renardo Green, if Renardo Green doesn't step up, Trey Brown is hurt a lot. They got the guy they got from the Seahawks. The only reliable player back there then is Demo Lenore. And you got major problems because if Mikael Williams didn't get into the quarterback and that secondary gets exposed and Nick Martin isn't what he's supposed to be, that's a 3rd-round pick, man. You got to play. I'm not saying you got to be Fred Warner out of the 3rd round, but you got to play. You got to give them snaps, and they got to be quality snaps. There's a lot of pressure on the rookies. So check that out at JohnLundUnleashed.com, and you can take a look at what I wrote there. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. That at JohnLundUnleashed.com. As it says there, 49ers rookies hold the key. All right, let's play a little caboose pistol. We're going to go back to the NBA for the sweet, clean, family-friendly caboose pistol. Let me get some music here because we need music. Let's get the fancy open for caboose pistol. Let's do it.
John Lund Unleashed presents the caboose pistol.
Wedged in the crack of her buttocks.
Somehow, someway, Lundo thinks this is the best way to leave a final impression on you for the day.
The old caboose pistol, everybody has one.
Did you say caboose?
I know some woman who could hide a machine gun in there.
Yeah.
Leave me out of this, you weirdo. Here's John.
Caboose pistol proudly brought to us by our good friends at 𝐸𝐴𝐿 Sports Medicine Stem Cell Treatment. I told you we were in Vegas last weekend, and my wife, we couldn't have walked around without Dr. 𝐸𝐴𝐿. She actually said that to me as we were walking. She's like, if it wasn't for Dr. 𝐸𝐴𝐿, no way. Stem cell treatments, her foot's feeling great. Give them a call, 924-275-9333. Get an appointment today, 925-275-9333. We put 𝐸𝐴𝐿 Sports Medicine, same group, same company, 𝐸𝐴𝐿, and all you got to do is get that appointment or go online, 𝐸𝐴𝐿 Sports Medicine, and she's feeling great. The elbow is great. The foot, like I said, she couldn't have walked around. Her shoulders about 90%. I tell you, we got this freezer in our garage, and she used to be constantly putting that stuff on. I never see her do that anymore. She can walk around in Vegas. The stem cell treatment that Dr. 𝐸𝐴𝐿 has is life-changing. It's not going too far. Plus, I'm actually seeing Dr. 𝐸𝐴𝐿 today because it's time. Tell you about low treatments, do that blood test, takes just a minute, and then they give me the exact amount so that I'm feeling great. Weight loss is much easier, in a much better mood, as you can tell. I'm not cranky. You just feel better. You have energy. You feel like you used to feel, which is great. That's what it is. That's what it's supposed to do. And I've been doing low T treatments for years, but the fact that I don't have to go in and get a shot every single week is awesome. Like I said, you just do a quick blood test, and then you do a short procedure, and for 3-4 months, you're feeling great. And that's where I am with Dr. 𝐸𝐸𝐿. So make sure that you check that out. Stem cell treatment. My wife is doing. I'm doing the low T treatments. They do all sorts of other stuff as well. Just check them out. You can look them up, Google them. Dr. Jeffrey 𝐸𝐸𝐿 in San Ramon, ROIPELLE, 𝐸𝐸𝐿, Dr. 𝐸𝐸𝐿. And they do all sorts of other procedures as well. But that's just what we're talking about with the low T and with my wife doing all the stem cell treatments. Life-changing. I'm telling you, life-changing. So I don't know. So you probably know this guy. He's been on our show before when I was with KNBR. We had him on a lot. Really good dude. Knows what he's doing as far as the NBA is concerned. And he may be more famously known as the husband, they just got married, of Malika Andrews of ESPN. There he is, Dave McMenamin, okay? Doesn't seem like that hard of a name to say, right? Dave McMenamin. He's been around the NBA for a long time, good writer, generally covers the Lakers because, I don't know, there's a guy named LeBron on that team, and they seem to be kind of high profile. So Dave McMenamin, NBA reporter, ESPN, married to ESPN's Malika Andrews. So Kendrick Perkins, not exactly a master of the English language, but paid to be kind of that. Actually, he's paid to just have them tell him what opinion to have, but that's different. But here he is. And remember the Moses Moody thing? So I'll play this, and then we'll reminisce back to Moody Moses, Moody Moody, Moody Moody. Here is Kendrick Perkins trying to save Dave McMenamin, which is funny because there's Malika Andrews hosting the show, and that's her husband, the name that he's butchering.
As expected and confirmed by my brother Dave McMenamin, the Lakers are only worried about the office. McMenamin, the Lakers are only worried about the offensive end.
He has a job. Speaking, McMenamin. I think he called him McMinimum, right? Did he call him McMinimum? What was it?
McMenamin. As expected and confirmed by my brother Dave McMenamin, the Lakers are only worried about the office. McMenamin, the Lakers are only.
He butchers it twice. To the guy's wife, and she's just sitting there going, "What?" Anyway, he's paid probably pretty well to talk for a living, which reminds us of Moses Moody's draft night, and Moses Moody. Is that really a hard name? Moses Moody, Moses Moody, Moses Moody, Moses Moody, Moses Moody, Moses Moody, Moses Moody. I don't know. I don't think it's that hard, but apparently it is.
Steph Curry, two of the best to ever do it. When you look at Moses Moody.
I mean, seriously, I don't know that you could do that even if you wanted to. Could you butcher Moses Moody's name to that extent? Even if you wanted to.
Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, two of the best to ever do it. When you look at Moses Moody.
Oh my God. I mean, seriously.
Only word about the offensive end. That's McMenamin. As expected and confirmed by my brother Dave McMenamin, the
Unbelievable. That's what he was trying to say. Dave McMenamin. It's not all that hard. But apparently for someone who gets paid probably a lot of money to speak for a living, it's very difficult. And in front of his wife, which is amazing. His wife is just sitting there going, "Oh my God, really?" Anyway, there you go. There is Moody Moses, Moses Moody, Moody Moody, Moody Moody, Moody Moses, Moses Moody. That's probably the worst transgression of a draft I've ever seen. And like I said, you know what they should do? Put Kendrick Perkins on the NHL draft. How amazing would that be? Just have a channel in which just a Kendrick Perkins channel. I don't want anybody else in there. I just want them to hand him the next name and have him do the announcements for the players. That's what I want to see. I want to see the Kendrick Perkins solo channel doing the NHL draft, and all I want him to do is to announce the names of the players. How amazing would that be? And the Montreal Canadiens select. Oh my God. The Toronto Maple Leafs select. They'd be like, "Oh my God, what? What the hell?" Like, I mean, he's struggling with Moses Moody and Dave McMenamin. I mean, those are the names. Could you imagine him in a hockey draft? That would be unreal. That would be so good. That might be the best TV ever. That's what they should do. You guys want ratings? You guys want clicks? You guys want people, you want stuff to go viral? ESPN? You're welcome. You can pay me 6 figures, 7 figures of that. Let's see, what else do we got? Oh, that was amazing. Hi, EB. It's good to see you, man. I know. I mean, ESPN sit behind the scenes laughing. They think it's funny. They think it's great. Like I said, they should have him on the NHL draft. That's what I would do. I'd just put him on the NHL draft. Just that. That's it. Just NHL draft. Kendrick Perkins in a room announcing names of NHL players incoming. That would be absolutely amazing. All right. Let's see. What else do we got? Yeah, that was brutal. I think that's it. All right. Thanks for hanging out today. If you missed anything, it is episode 130. Remember the series at 3-2. First half. Look at that. First quarter. Look at that. 40-24. Curry's thumb talk. That's the major issue today. Van Fleet going crazy. It's a series. Timberwolves are going to be an issue if they can get by and win this series. LeBron last Lakers game? ? I think so. I think he's getting traded, and he's either going to go back to Cleveland if they don't win the championship or create an old man team because LeBron's ego is way too big. He has to have a final tour before he leaves. It's Birdsong time. Roop struggles again. April review for the Giants. I feel good, but some things need to be fixed. 49ers piece on the young guys holding the key from the last two drafts at JohnLundUnleashed.com. Your caboose pistol. Kendrick Perkins does it again, and that makes
Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, two of the best to ever do it. When you look at Moses
Reese Davis jumps in like pro. Seriously? Wow. All right. That'll do it. Keep those alerts on. Join us on JohnLundUnleashed.com on YouTube, also on the Bay Area Sports Collective, but keep those alerts on. Please hit a like, by the way, before you get out of here today, but on the show. But Tommy and I are going to review Rockets and Warriors, and more importantly, because this has become the biggest issue, the thumb of Steph Curry. We'll do that early this afternoon, so I will let you know as soon as I know. I don't think I've gotten a text this morning, but let me double check. That way I could let you know right now, but I don't. Okay. Tom's sick. No show. All right. That was good to know. So still keep your alerts on. That would be tremendous. But doesn't look like Tommy and I are going to get together today. Probably tomorrow. I apologize for that, but he is not feeling well. So that's what's going on. All right. That'll do it for a State Thursday edition of the show. Thanks for joining us. Always love that you're hanging out. Please keep those alerts on. Please give us thanks. Thank you for watching or thanks. Please, thanks for watching on X at John Lund Radio, on Instagram at John Lund Radio, on the Bay Area Sports Collective, and on the John Lund Unleashed YouTube channel. And again, if you missed anything, we're going to put the podcast up right now on Apple and Spotify, and we'll put those chapters up. So whatever you want to listen to on your terms, how you want to do it, whether it be any of the topics today, we'll put them in chapters so you can click right to those spots. Everybody have a great remainder of your Thursday.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at JohnLundUnleashed.com. JohnLundUnleashed.com.
Goodbye!